Thanks for staying with us here on TVC Breakfast. It's now time for us to look at what the papers are reporting. First, we have a peek through. The Nation newspaper is the first. Federal government states to cut transportation cost from October the 1st. Using CNG, we have agreed that cheaper fuel should result in cheaper fares, says Tinubu. Next is the Leadership Friday. Tinubu governors set October the 1st target for cheaper transport fares. Federal government states established joint committee to implement measures. And the Observer Times, currency buffer expands. $53.11 billion reserves signal stabilizing macroeconomic trends. External reserves crossed the $53 billion mark for the first time since 2009. Next is the Weekend Hope. 2027 candidates, parties risk jail. 10 million naira fine for campaign violations. That's according to INEC. Says PVC is ready for collection in 1 month. Ondo REC assures riverine voters of seamless elections. And the Punch newspaper. Tinubu APC governors move to fix campaign list crisis. Tinubu governors APC heavyweights hold 2-day strategy meeting in Aso Rock. And APC may drop controversial chieftains as PCC list undergoes review. The Platform Times is next. 26,000 Nigerian children enter custody yearly. 74% await trial. That's according to the minister. Says 68% have no lawyer from first contact with justice system. And the Guardian newspaper says, football under scrutiny. NFF shops for new era. Managers amid global accountability probe. And the Blueprint newspaper, World Cup misses, others, Tinubu orders comprehensive football reforms, NFF top shots quit. President seeks overhaul of sports governance administration, why I resigned as NFF president, that's according to Gusau. And this Nigeria, chaos in football house or chaos on the pitch. President directs comprehensive reforms over perennial dismal performances. NFF boss Gusau, others quit. And the Blaze newspaper still beaming on the NFF. Tinubu orders reform of Nigeria's football management system. And last but not least is the Sporting Live. The King of Amsterdam, Arokodare, smashes Brace against Sion. The Fire Ajax to 5-3 win, 9-5 aggregate and nets 4 goals, 2 assists in 5 games.
Ibrahim, you're telling me that Sporting Life is not talking about NFF?
No, most definitely it will be talking about it, but it's not the...
But it should be.
Yeah, they've been talking about it so it's on the bottom strip actually. Gusau resigns as NFF president. Sanusi board members depart too, and aftermath resignation. You know, Sporting Life has always been one of the papers, you know, calling out, you know, the NFF over the years. Only that Osimhen is always beaming right in our face. All right, then let's get out to the brass tacks. So by doing this with our colleague Etoma, Ria, and Olamide, the Nation newspaper talking about the federal government states, you know, planning to cut transportation costs from October the 1st. Detail the Leadership Friday. Tinubu governors set October the 1st target for cheaper transport fares. And I was wondering, how will they do this? They said they're going to roll out, you know, they're going to expand the CNG, that's the compressed national gas. Vehicles running on CNG spend 60% to 80% less on fuel than petrol-powered vehicles. And a massive infrastructure boost, you know, 500 additional, I wanted to say 500 naira. 500 additional CNG stations, refueling stations will also be added, and then vehicle conversions. They've been able to do over 120,000. So we hope that this will definitely, you know, sail through.
Yeah, I pray it sails through because it's going to solve a lot of problems. The food inflation, number one, is the first that we'll see that this decision will affect positively. Because transportation of foodstuff is one of the major reasons why the prices are high. You know, transportation is high, and it goes down to the foodstuff itself, and we are the ones that end up carrying the short end of the stick. This is the palliative that we expected when the subsidy was removed some years back. Now that Mr. President is talking about it, and they have already given us a date, it looks as if a lot of work has been done under that you and I do not know. And that's why they are so sure of that date. I am, fingers crossed, I am waiting to see. And the percentage at which this thing will drop. Look, the effect is going to be fantastic. It's going to affect food inflation positively. It's going to create jobs, like it or not. It will create jobs because a whole lot of people that can't do anything right now will have some spare money to invest here and there. It is a very welcome decision. Let's just wait and see how it turns out to be. I just hope it doesn't suffer a hitch somewhere.
I love your optimism, but then, remember when the president said all blockades, all those checkpoints and all of that should be taken away, should be dismantled. All those people who collect levies and all of that should be dismantled. I still see them in the morning, especially very early in the morning whenever I'm coming to the office. So the CNG, there are some cars, there are some commercial buses that are running on CNGs, but they are still charging as high as those who run on petrol.
Yes. Yeah, and that's where my point is. First of all, I'm happy that this is going to happen 1st of October. On a lighter note, my legs will rest from working. At least transportation will be a little bit lesser. But I want to speak on the modalities of how we're going to make this work. First of all, we need to understand that we need to create more places where people can actually access the CNG. That's actually number one. Yeah. Number two, let's not forget that converting these cars to CNG is actually some money as well. It's not cheap.
And it's expensive.
And it's expensive. And then again, we need to now regulate the drivers because like you said, some of these drivers already operate on CNG and they're still charging high. And that's where they say, nah man, they do man. And we're always pointing at the federal government, but we ourselves, we are greedy to one another. Yeah. So it's a fantastic idea, but now how we're going to put it to play is actually the biggest question. Because if we do not handle it well, it will start and it will not stand the test of time. And before you know it, it goes down the drill. Right. Day in, day out, Nigerians actually struggle with transportation. I mean, if you have a car, you just have to be grateful to God. You are on the road and you see a lot of people lining on the road. Some of them cannot even afford, to go from one place to another. I believe it's a fantastic one, but let the right things be put in place.
Most definitely. Olamide, before we go to the Observer Times, part of the initiative will also include the states will be leveraging electric vehicle adoption to lower overall operational transit costs. I actually deliberately brought this to you because I know you've been dreaming to have an EV anytime soon.
That is the dream of my life.
Amen.
So, a little pink electric car charging somewhere.
You can start from being commercial.
On the Lagos mainland.
You can start from being commercial. Maybe you apply for some of the EVs. You first do commercial and then you make it private.
But you don't know, God can do anything, so you can never tell.
This deadline is honestly very welcome. The president is taking a strong stance on this. His political accountability at its peak. He has given us a date. He's ordered 500 new CNG stations, which brings the total, I believe, to 1,000. This is very, very welcome. But I would say this. I strongly believe that this is the next phase of the fuel subsidy reform.
That's right.
If we've now moved from petrol to cheaper CNG, these subsidies should reach the commuter. It's very, very important. Let's just hope that this applies to commuters and it's actually implemented.
Most definitely. Toma, let's move on to the Observer Times. Currency buffer expands, $53.11 billion reserves, signal stabilizing macroeconomic trends. So we look at sustained energy windfall, where elevated global Brent oil prices coupled with steadier local prices coupled with, production volumes have significantly accelerated dollar inflows via oil-rated taxes and receipts. So we've got aggressive FX market reforms, surging inflows, stronger autonomous capital importation, expanding fixed income yield opportunities for international investors. So the fact that analysts are also pointing to CBN reforms, diaspora remittances, and foreign portfolio inflows as key drivers. So we're still talking about the macroeconomic, index, but what about it trickling down to the micro level? But they say it's going to take time, just as when the dam is open in Cameroon, it takes about 16 days before it gets to the down south right here in Nigeria. Yeah. So maybe that's the way they're painting the picture, that yes, it's working at top, but on the lower rung, we'll definitely get it as soon as and when due. Yeah,
economists will always tell you that if you want to revamp the economy of a country, first of all, settle the macro. Once the macro side of the economy starts showing positive signs, then it will be easier for you to focus on the micro, and that's when it really starts trickling down. And we just talked about Mr. President saying transport fares will go down. That's micro, and things like that. And if the macro was not taken care of, there still would have been talking macro, not talking micro. So when they tell you now that, look, It will take some time before food gets cheap, before this and all that and all that. It is true.
That's right.
The macro has to start showing positive results, and it has right now. And that buffer makes it a little bit comfortable for the government to plan economic reforms, job creations, and infrastructural development too.
That's why we need to ask questions from our governors and also our local governments and local councils. Let's move on
Hold
to the
everybody accountable.
Absolutely.
Bring them to book.
Weekend Hope is saying 2027 elections, candidates, parties risk jail, 10 million naira fine for campaign violations. You know, so one of the things is that they have a cap for the amount of money they can budget for campaigns. Aiders and abettors, individuals who assist in specific campaign violations face 2 million naira fine and all of that. So this is INEC reading out the riot act for anyone who goes beyond the limit.
I think the fine is too small, actually. I think we need to leave the fine up.
10 million naira.
It is small because when you
Stop
put...
thinking in your pocket. You don't think with your pocket.
Man, if I had 10 million naira, I'll be somewhere in Morocco enjoying myself. But wait, on the lighter note. 2027 is fast approaching, and we want a free, fair, and credible election from INEC.
Right.
Another thing I really want to say again, it's not even just about the politicians. Those people that actually support the politicians, I feel like every politician must call their followers to book as well, because it starts with that. We don't want violence. We don't want any hate speech. You're contesting to be president of Nigeria. Let us do it peacefully. So I love the fact that INEC is saying that there will be consequences. If you do this, you will face the consequence. But now I need them to lift that fine high. And I'll end this by saying that you're supporting a political party doesn't mean you must fight the next person. At the end of the day, it's for the betterment of one Nigeria.
That's right.
Do not die for any politician. Do not let any politician send you to do something hateful when the politician's kids are in London schooling and having English breakfast. So you also need to think about yourself before you want to make any move, because oftentimes we've seen some people use all these talks to the disadvantage of other people. You kill people during election and all of that. So we need to eradicate that. And if they can increase the fine, oh well, oh good.
Sorry, Ibrahim, I don't know, just a sentence. My concern is, how will INEC enforce this? How will they know that these politicians are spending
Intelligence
more than...
collaboration. That will be the answer.
Intelligence and collaboration.
Interagency collaboration.
Interagency collaboration. Okay, and how do they throw out the consequences?
Right. We see what happens. We see what happens. We are monitoring. They also do that in collaboration with the media as well. Right. Let's move on to the Punch newspaper. Olamide, Tinubu APC move to fix campaign list crisis. So there have been hullabaloo since the list has been released. You know, some are talking about some people who are, you know, having corruption allegations. They've not been cleared. Some of names were not included. Some names were said to have not been were said to be removed. You know, blah blah blah. Absolutely. And the presidency is saying that it is not an overhaul. It is an adjustment.
Absolutely. Aside from the main gripe here, like you have said, Ibrahim, the fact that there's some controversial figures that were included on this list, but they're also saying that certain sections of the APC were not consulted before this campaign council was put together. And like you said, Ibrahim, President Tinubu did his best to sit down to address the fallout of this situation. But why should a campaign council be so politically exclusive? And that's because it's not just administrative. It's not just, it tells us who has power within the APC. So everybody is fighting for it. I would suggest that the APC in this moment be very, very careful, because you are dealing with outside opposition, and then internally you're now having to deal with new entrants, this one, that one, governors, political godfathers, and now you've now created a campaign council that is causing more internal conflict within your party. I would say they should be very, very careful. This is a politically exclusive list, and it's sort of it's a map of power. It tells us who is who in the APC.
Absolutely.
And that's why everybody is fighting for it.
All right, then let's race on, because we have just less than 5 minutes to wrap this conversation. Platform Times at Toma. 26,000 Nigerian children enter custody yearly, 74% await trial. That's according to the minister. It's 74%. That's nearly 3/4 of these children are held in pretrial detention without access to a timely hearing, and then 68% lack lawyers. Over 122,000 detained, you know, so on and so forth. Justice delayed, they say, is justice denied. Justice denied.
Yes, and for me, the figures are just disheartening. You know, over 26,000 every year, and come on, it makes me quite uncomfortable. And the fact that up to 60-something% do not have access to lawyers makes me wonder the kind of justice system we're running. Because we have the public Office of the Public Defender, isn't it? Where we have lawyers that are paid by the state to do pro bono jobs. If that is available, how come these people or these children or whoever, how come they don't have access to lawyers? There are a whole lot of things that we have to do on our judicial system in Nigeria to make it top-notch. Right now, it's wobbly.
Absolutely. Riyadh has said that it's also violating child protection laws that mandate age-appropriate placement in Boston and reform institutions, still feeding on taxpayers' monies, over-bloated prisoners, etc., etc.
This is very sad because we're talking about children here. So for me, it actually breaks my heart that some of these children, they'll even serve the time before it's said whether they are guilty or not. They have actually served the time. So I believe that our judicial process is something that we need to make very fast. We can't keep some of the children that are there actually, they are actually not guilty of some of the offenses. But then again, because of how slow the procedure is, they get to spend so much time that they should not be. It's actually a very big shame that we're counting these numbers for children. Oftentimes we've also spoken about adults as well. Remember the story of the man that was in custody and he spent almost like 5-6 years in custody before they now had his hearing and the man was not even guilty. So then again, when stories happen like that, you ask yourself what is really happening with our judicial system in terms of accountability, in just terms of making sure that justice comes early. Because it's not about when the time the justice comes. You can't give me justice when I've spent 5 years already in prison. Justice actually has to come at the right time. So it's something that we really need to look at. And also looking at these are kids. It's quite a sad one.
Absolutely. Let's move on to the Guardian newspaper, talking about the football under scrutiny. NFF shops for new era. Managers amid global accountability probe. The blueprint also talking about President Tinubu ordering comprehensive football reforms. Chaos in the football for this Nigeria. Blaze also talking about the president asking for, calling for reforms of the NFF. 17 billion under investigation Olamide, mass resignation of leadership, which you talked about a little earlier, and FIFA global leadership on trial. So as we're having our own challenge, down, in the global south, we're also having it above, at the apogee of the Football Federation, which is a serious problem. So it looks like football, which is supposed to be a uniting force, is now being accused, football itself, accused of being corrupt.
Absolutely. This is an institutional and structural failure. There have been too many times that Nigeria did not qualify, did not meet the international benchmark. There's been too many times. This is structural. And like I said earlier, and I'll keep saying it, I believe that Gusau chose the easy way out.
I just want to say one thing to wrap up on this conversation. Sorry, Ibrahim.
Yeah.
The ones that have been flying their concubines on business class and putting the players, in economy, they should be brought to book. The ones that have, allegedly,
the ones that you didn't mention anyone.
I didn't mention anybody's name. So whoever the shoe, if the shoe fits you, you wear it perfectly. And also the ones that have been taking money for the footballers and putting it in their pocket and their stomach, they should be brought to book. And it's actually a very big shame because if you're given that kind of position and you use it in this kind of way, you need to face the full weight of the law.
The problem is everyone accuses the politicians, presidency, governors, whatever have you, of corruption. But they do not look at all these little agencies where monies are sunk.
Corruption is systemic in Nigeria, and it's really unfortunate to see. It is systemic in Nigeria. There's no corner that you go to that you won't find traces of corruption. Even in our streets, you send a 7-year-old to go buy something. He's thinking of how to palm the change. These are things that are going on. For the NFF, I believe that since we are focusing on the NFF right now, we should do a serious audit of that organization and take it back like 20 years.
And they must be brought to book.
Oh, brought to book, definitely, most definitely.
Sports Live is the last one. If you look at above the masthead, this is Chelsea's time. Chelsea is quite happy, and then the headline is also written in blues. Blues beat haters to cruise into next round. Kudos to the Chelsea and Chelsea fans, and we say we want to see them continue sustaining, these gains. But when they beat them, they should not come and.
Anytime you say Chelsea, I remember my friend Igwe. Oh, he loves Chelsea.
I'm not sure whether he's on duty today. All right, then that's about it for the newspapers of reviews.